Hey guys, Andrea, welcome back to the channel. So guys, do you guys know what trauma-informed care looks like? And I bet your first thought wasn't support workers. Guys, and having a disability isn't inherently traumatizing, but people with a disability are disproportionately affected by trauma and can become disabled with a psychosocial disability due to trauma or experiencing or witnessing trauma. We can also cause trauma ourselves. So, guys, trauma informed care is having support workers who are trauma informed. And so that is trained in what is trauma, how to prevent trauma, de escalation, planned ignoring, and understanding what is triggering for a person. I'm not talking about the I'm so triggered, but understanding what would send someone into a spiral if they panic when they're in a car because they're driving with an unsafe driver, if someone has behaviours of concern and they're witnessing a restrictive practice being used, even if it is authorised, and having spaces where that person can unmask, can be themselves without being at risk of harm or judgment to others. It also is understanding the context in which that person operates in. So that's moving from person centered care, where the person is at the center of the world, to holistic and holism. So that being where you look at the person's whole support networks, so informal supports, support workers, housing situation, family situation, belief system, sexual orientations, gender presentation, even health conditions that can be traumatizing. And seeing if they has gone through medical trauma and therefore supporting them in a doctor's room, being able to support them with money handling, being able to support them with business ventures as well, or even a job, and further education. So, guys, these are all things that we need to be very much aware of and understand as well. And we need to remember that sometimes people with disabilities and their support workers can cause trauma. Guys, that can be things like yelling at someone for things that are not their fault, yelling at someone because you're annoyed with them or you're annoyed at the situation, yelling at a person because you're in pain. And so that's where a support worker needs to realise that they are a trained professional. And if they're untrained, look at further training. I know Blue Knot has got some really great trauma informed care. I know Be the Village has got some really great things. It's focused around foster children, but there is skills that do very much move over into disability care and disability support and disability as well. We also see that Laura and Mama Casas and Pleasant Media have all got things on disability support. And guys, trauma can be separated into two T's: little trauma and big trauma. So little t trauma and capital T trauma. So trauma, the little t traumas are the medical gaslighting and fighting for a diagnosis. It's when you have the online self-diagnosed community making up words and you're saying go and get diagnosed and there's a lot of pushback. It's when you're not being believed that you have a hidden disability and then blamed for the outcome when you have the documentation and have the proper diagnosis. It's and then your capital T traumas are surviving a brain injury, a medical accident, a medical incident, seeing a natural event, seeing a terrorist event, seeing a shooting, seeing a car accident, being involved in a car accident, being involved in a near miss, again, witnessing. And this kind of crosses over depending on the person's background. It's also assault, whether that be SA, verbal, or physical. It also is seeing, and this is more a small t trauma, witnessing a restrictive practice being used. And this is more so when you're not used to that person's behaviours of concern and seeing it used as a punishment, rather in the wider context of positive behaviour support, having a behaviour practitioner and a complex needs care team involved as well. It's also about understanding that person's disability, complex needs and complexities, and attention-seeking behaviours at times, and understanding that mental health affects us all differently as well. So, guys, disability and trauma we don't talk about enough, especially with female support workers supporting male support workers and doing grooming activities. That can be where there is professional training and they do it with professional dignity, but especially someone who might get a bit handsy, may not be able to stop touching themselves. That's inappropriate behaviour. Seeing that and guiding that can be problematic for someone. So, guys, this is something that we really need to continue the conversation about, because I know there's 3 agencies in my location that are across the board trauma informed and licensed to use approved restrictive practices, because restrictive practices are very controversial and there's several types, but at their core there's 2 types: unapproved and approved. And approved ones have the flowchart, they are recorded, they are used in a wider context to reduce behaviours of concern and reduce harm to others and the person themselves. But then we have unapproved restrictive practices that are when the support worker is frustrated, overworked, undertrained, and not supported by the head office with self-care, de-escalation techniques, and further professional developments as well. So, guys, let's keep the conversation going as well. And welcome to my new subscribers. So, thank you so much. So, guys, if you can subscribe, because 80% of you guys who are returning viewers aren't subscribed to the channel. So, guys, it really does help me to be seen, because I was having a conversation with one of my community access team, because I'm working on some really exciting media projects behind the scenes that, guys, quite frankly, are really excited. And we're not talking about these topics in disability. We're not talking about the dangers of self-diagnosis. We're not talking about the trauma. We're not talking about the medical gaslighting. We're not talking about support workers who are posting on Reddit and Facebook about that they know what's best for the client and wondering why the client's getting upset with them. You guys need to be able to work with the clients family, with clients' family and friends. Guys, at the end of the day, whether you're an agency or independent support worker, you are that client's employee. And the NDIA price guide is a price guide. Those prices aren't capped, but it is a price guide. And if you're saying, oh no, the rates are set by the NDIA, you're lying. So, guys, I'm calling out some independent support workers there, and I'm not apologising for it. So, guys, again, if you can like, share, subscribe, comment, and my Patreon video is up and live. So, guys, my Patreon, I've got the Patreon only newsletter, I've got the subscriber newsletter. The Patreon newsletter is a bit more in depth. The subscriber newsletter is free to join for all subscribers to the channel. And guys, there's some exciting things happening in my personal life around media and media content coming soon as well. So, guys, I've got the Patreon. I'm being much more consistent with posting over there. So let's build this community where we are honest, where we are talking about these issues, where we are fighting for the care, support, and dignity that we do need as well. And guys, I'll see you guys in the next video.